This is Ergodowski of WeAreChange.org here in Las Vegas at Freedom Fest. And right now I wanted to make a very important video about the major effort that's happening right now in order to stop and silence people like myself, people like Derek Bros, and other free thinkers and independent media out there. And in this video, we want to get into specifically what's happening with YouTube, with Google, with Facebook, the good, the bad, and most importantly, why this is happening. Because if you could control the free flow of information, you control basically every aspect of it. We saw with the advent of the internet, companies like YouTube and Facebook make it a platform where people could actually talk to one another, share stories that they cared about with one another. And that led to a trap because people started seeing the crap and all the lies and all the propaganda that was being used against them. And right now, as we're speaking, it's been happening for a number of years now, but specifically right now, we are seeing a major push to take that power back in the free flow of information. Derek, we've been sitting down and talking, and we were like, holy cow, we are screwed. And it's not looking good.
It's definitely not looking good. The last time we talked, we were in San Diego for Libertopia, and I was talking to Jason from Free Thought Project. We were talking about it then. I've been talking to every single independent journalist I know around the world, not just here in the U.S., about what's taking place, how we're all suffering, because, as you were saying, this attack on fake news is really an attack on independent thought, independent thinkers, independent media, and getting to the point now, the stuff we're about to discuss, where the establishment media and the governments around the world can decide what is truth. You know, we're getting into true 1984 territory.
Yep. I mean, we were one of the first channels out there to be demonetized before it was cool even to be demonetized. But throughout the years, we saw so many different things. We saw soft censorship. We saw demonetization. We saw algorithm changes. But right now, they are so upset about people independently, critically thinking, talking to one another, sharing ideas that they resonate with, that disprove all the crap that they're trying to push on you. Right now, they're starting new initiatives where they're giving money to the mainstream media when already the mainstream media is financed by big money. Big money tells mainstream media what to do. They already have a huge advantage over independent media. Independent media was kicking their ass, and right now, YouTube is stepping in and giving $25 million to their supposed authoritative voices in order to fight fake news. And this is a story that is just breaking within the last 2 days, but we also have to understand, it's not just YouTube. Google, who owns YouTube, spends around $300 million on the same exact purpose in order to promote the journalists that they believe that they like. And the journalists that they like are not really journalists. They're really just puppeteers, as we've been exposing on this YouTube channel for many years now, confronting many prominent figures, one of which is Anderson Cooper, who is now getting paid extra with CNN Extra just so their videos could be seen and shared instead of real, authentic voices. They want the corporate propaganda down your throat so bad that they're now having to finance it, ultimately creating socialism for the mega-rich corporations that already control the mainstream media, and just crony capitalism with unfair business practices for people like me and Derek.
Yeah, and a big part of that, in addition to what Luke's talking about with Google, YouTube, Facebook just put out a blog post in the last week announcing as their latest effort to fight fake news that now they're going to be funding. Yes, Facebook, the social media company, is actually funding several different news programs from Fox, from CNN, from Univision, and others like that. Anderson Cooper was one of the people Luke has talked about, who he's confronted, who is, has connections to CIA and elsewhere. He's going to get his own little special Facebook Live news program, and this is again part of their effort to combat fake news. And we've also seen them recently partner with Snopes, partner with Associated Press, and other sources that they say we'll tell you what's quality journalism, what's real journalism. And the byproduct of this, in addition to the demonetizing that Luke's talking about, is that we have been losing reach. I mean, independent media is, for those who aren't aware, we're like drastically losing reach just in the last couple months. It's been going on, of course, a couple years, but really the last 5-6 months, we've seen 90% plus reach, to the point that Ben Swann's Truth in Media announced no more original reporting as of June 1st. The Anti-Media, several million people following them, no more original reporting as of June 1st. Activist Post, The Mind Unleashed, other huge pages that have millions of followers. And at one point, we're able to build that up and build this independent media platforms where we could pay writers and editors and all that good stuff, are now out of jobs and are completely, we're trying to figure out how to survive. And it's a part of this whole fake news psyop.
Yeah, I mean, we're barely holding on as an independent media organization, but that's not going to stop me. I'm still going to be kicking and screaming as loud as I can because there's no other way around it. I can't let these guys win, and it's really up to you guys. But more on the Facebook thing, because Facebook even officially announced today that, when they were questioned whether they should delete the Alex Jones Facebook page, they were like, well, no, we down throttle what our fact checkers don't agree with. There's no process to even understand the decisions that are made to counter them in any way. It's companies, biased companies like Snopes saying, well, no, we disagree with you. And Facebook admitted today that 80% of the viewership is down throttled by their algorithm. We have to understand when we're watching social media, whether it's Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, YouTube right now, whatever is recommended to you, whatever is on your front page is what they want you to see. That's why we saw utter just, I can't say that word. I don't want to curse here, so I apologize. But we saw very flamboyant knuckleheads, that's a nice way of saying it, like Jake Paul being promoted. And look what ended up happening with that. They got kicked in the butt. But it shows you just how bad and just how afraid they are of real discussions, real news, real conversation, and most importantly, real journalism that goes out there that they are stopping. And I know a lot of people who had huge Facebook pages. Their whole lives were about having this Facebook page with millions of viewers that they were running their businesses through, that they were spreading independent information. Some of them were just completely deleted within just the last few days. We had a page that had 750,000 likes on our Facebook page. Facebook just one day said, well, you know what? We're not even going to notify you. We're just going to give it over to WeAreChange, because it was a fan page that we were running of a trademark that WeAreChange owned. And I'm like, wait, it was a Jesse Ventura page that we were running and started with a whole bunch of activists and we were using. One day, they just totally gave it all up, even though it was a fan page, which you're supposedly allowed to have. But WeAreChange came in there, big money, big interest came in there, and they're just breaking all procedures, all moral codes, and just giving the worst horrible business practices while paying Anderson Cooper, the trusted CIA agent. He trained in the CIA. We had long conversations about this. It's still unconfirmed, whatever, just to be authentic here. But when you're seeing people like Anderson Cooper not only promoted through the algorithm and that fail, when you're seeing them now saying we're going to give millions of dollars to these corporatists to repeat and regurgitate their lies of what they're told to say, which they are told to say. MSNBC has been a great example of that, with so many people just getting fired from there because they didn't toe the line, because they talked about anti-war stuff, Bernie Sanders stuff, TPP stuff, the stuff that you see on independent media that you will never see on the mainstream media. People who were on mainstream media were fired for that. And that's why independent media is so important, because there's no other way for these ideas to get out there. And your support and your participation is more critically important than ever. But one thing that I wanted to talk to you about is that, we're seeing CNN, the large mega corporation that they are, officially go out there and make a stand saying, we want InfoWars deleted. Now, I don't like that media company. I don't like InfoWars. They are wrong a lot of times. They are very sensational a lot of times. And I feel like this is kind of the fake left-right dichotomy, because they're highlighting instances where InfoWars is being very bad, but also when they attack them directly, they give them more attention. And they're focusing their attention on people who are telling you that there's going to be a race war a couple years ago, or a civil war, or saying that actors are dying because they were going to go on the Trump train. And it's like just speculative, really bad journalism, and they're using that as an example to push out there. But ultimately, when they're attacking it, they're also promoting it, which I wanted to discuss with you as well.
So, yeah, absolutely. I'm on the same page with you as far as InfoWars goes. And, we're just using them kind of as an example. But I do think that they represent a lot of what you're saying, that there's a lot of sensationalism, and Jones and InfoWars will get promoted in the deadstream mainstream media. Who's the first person anybody thinks of when they talk about a conspiracy theorist? They're going to say Alex Jones. They're going to say InfoWars, right? And the mainstream loves to use them as an example. See, this is why we need to control the narrative. This is why we need to tell you what is real and what's fake and whatnot. And it kind of, like you said, it fuels. Well, more people want to go look at InfoWars. Well, then the other side says we need to shut them down. On one hand, this is what we have to remember. Facebook is a private company. We choose choose voluntarily to participate in that. So we can complain about this all day, but those of us who, unfortunately, we built up our followings and platforms through social media like Facebook, and now we see, hey, they can just shut your channel down if they want. They can just delete your page if they want. And there's no recourse. There's no way to really try to appeal or complain about it. So that's one thing to remember, is like, it's a private company. So if they choose to delete InfoWars, it would be pretty messed up, but it would be, I guess, their choice, right? They can control how they do that. But the real thing is that, as Luke's talking about, CNN and others, they're using InfoWars kind of as the mechanism to attack real independent thought, right? Alex Jones and them, obviously, like we said, they're sensational. They've been caught in like just fomenting fear-mongering and things like that. But if they get taken down, then we'll get taken down, and that's really, I think, what matters.
Yeah, and it's the example that they're using out there to justify their kind of push and purge. Meanwhile, it's hypocritical as hell to see freaking CNN talking about fake news out there when they're one of the biggest portrayers out there. And if you really look at the effects that the media has, it is profound. They get us into wars. They allow banker bailouts. What happened during the 2008 financial crisis was an absolute robbery that the mainstream media covered up for the big banks. The main reason I got into being a journalist is because the mainstream media after 9/11 in New York City was telling everyone the air was safe to breathe. Meanwhile, just a couple of months before 9/11, all the media articles were talking about how the buildings were filled with asbestos, and that asbestos went all throughout New York City, including my neighborhood. You could write your name in snow in it, where I was living in Brooklyn at the time, and that's probably going to affect me later down the line very negatively. It has affected a lot of my friends. I saw a lot of my friends die because of that, and that's why I'm a journalist, because of fake news ultimately killing hundreds, if not thousands. People even estimate 100,000 people will be affected, if not more, because of asbestosis, which creates lung cancer, and it takes 1 nanoparticle of asbestos to create that in your lungs. So something to worry about, something to obviously push for and fight for. It has been very, very important to me. But again, you would never hear about it. And if there was independent media, if there was a big internet presence like there was just a few years ago, I bet your bottom dollar people would be screaming, saying the air was not safe at 9/11, and a lot of people's lives would be saved. Because, again, the media just decided to lie. The EPA and the White House knowingly doctored documents to say the air was safe to breathe when they knew it wasn't. And the mainstream media just went along with it, regurgitated, did what their bosses told them to do, just like they do at CNN, MSNBC, and they cause huge effect. Information, knowledge, independent media is more important and more critical than ever. You will not find us in your main social media timeline. You won't find us. The algorithm will make sure that you don't see us, so it's more critically important than ever that you guys go out there and try to look for us and keep independent media alive, because if it's not for you, there's really no one else keeping us alive. Any last words, Derek?
I just want to add to that, Luke, you were talking about deaths from that. Of course, the biggest example of fake news killing people, weapons of mass destruction, million dead Iraqis, like that would not have been allowed to be sold to the world and the American people if it wasn't for the corporate, complacent, criminals in media. So, again, there's no lie to the fact that fake news has literally led to the deaths of people, and they should be held responsible. And the last thing is, if you want to check out my work, theconsciousresistance.com, as Luke said, like, you can't find us on social media unless you're really looking for it. Clicking get notifications and follow isn't enough anymore. You actually got to make some effort to reach our, go to our websites, go to our channels directly to make sure you're getting the content, because I don't think it's an exaggeration to say that if things don't change within the next year, most of the independent media in the U.S. and abroad could be gone, because people have to find some way to survive. So help us out.
Yeah, I think already half of it is almost gone right now. Yeah. I'm like teetering on there. I'm stubborn though, so I'm probably not going away for a long time, to be honest with you, no matter how much our viewership counts. But this is what's happening. It's like the boiling frog theory. First it's, you got to have a lot of subscribers. We have a lot of subscribers. Oh no, subscribers doesn't matter. You got to hit the bell button. Oh no, now the bell button doesn't work. Your suggested things doesn't work anymore. Your recommended things don't work anymore. You're not on the main timeline. People who get notifications on this YouTube channel are very rare. People message me all the time being like, I clicked the bell button, I made sure I get email alerts even for every video, and I don't even get anything from YouTube. So again, they control everything on the back end. We have to understand the revolution will not be in your timeline, but it's not a revolution we're looking for. It's an evolution of us being better, and that includes being better journalists and not being sensational and not giving them an excuse to be able to attack us about this fake news thing. We have to be better than ever. That's something that we strive for here. We do our best. We're not perfect. When we make mistakes, we own up to them, unlike a lot of other people. But that is just my rant. And ultimately, the decision is up to you to vote with your attention, to vote with your clicks, to vote with your dollar, to support things that you agree with. And I have a faith, I have a belief that you guys will. That's why my stubborn ass is still here. And that's why I love you guys. Thank you again so much for watching. Stay tuned for more.